The interpretation of narratives is to some extent subjective because everyone can experience art differently. At the same time, using literary analysis, we can still explain the most reasonable meanings that the artist meant to convey or that the audience is likely to understand. To understand themes of any work, however, spoilers are involved. Heavy spoilers. So consider this your spoiler warning. Dave the Diver, one of the surprise hits of 2023, is an action-adventure sim management casual game that really focuses on gameplay and fun. It contains a coherent and charming narrative with meaningful themes to connect gameplay elements together, despite being a game mostly about diving and sushi. In this video, we're going to answer the question, what can Dave the Diver, a story about fish, tell us about the motivations of people? One of the most obvious themes developed in the game is that of good environmental stewardship versus the hypocrisy of environmentalists. To be clear, the game is not against environmental protection. On the contrary, the game clearly appreciates the beauty of nature. The game develops the theme of good stewardship of the environment through things like the rescuing and helping of sea animals. The game also suggests that Dave is helping out with ecological research with the app EcoWatcher. Eventually, Dave even looks into the earthquakes plaguing the Blue Hole region. The Bible not only agrees with environmental stewardship, you could argue that God is the original inventor of environmental stewardship in his occupational choice for the first man, Adam. In the book of Genesis, it says, "And the Lord God planted a garden in Eden in the east, and there he put the man whom he had formed. And out of the ground the Lord God made to spring up every tree that is pleasant to the sight and good for food. The tree of life was in the midst of the garden, and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. The Lord God took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to work it and keep it." Genesis chapter 2, verses 8 and 9, and verse 15. On the flip side, there are a few environmentalists in the game who seem to be hypocritical. Hypocrisy is pretending to have or believe high moral standards that you don't actually have or believe. Ellie, the biology student, seems only mildly interested in environmental protection. The environmental protection group in the game, Sea Blue, seem to be callous towards the environment. John Watson, their leader, seems to deal a lot of collateral damage to the environment in his confrontations with Dave. It is also implied that Sea Blue has an unethical relationship with large fisheries, and later in the game it is revealed that they are actually part of a large fishing operation. The game criticizes hypocrisy, particularly that of activists that use the environmental cause for their own gains rather than protecting the environment. In the New Testament, Jesus is particularly critical of hypocrisy. "You hypocrites, well did Isaiah prophesy of you when he said, 'This people honors me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. In vain do they worship me, teaching as doctrines the commandments of men.'" Matthew chapter 15, verses 7 to 9. Dave the Diver uses the careful cultivation and responsible harvesting of the sea to contrast with the hypocrisy of those who champion causes for their own gain. Another theme that is developed in the game is that of creativity, novelty, and innovation. This is actually in the gameplay itself, with Dave slowly gaining access to upgrades in diving equipment. In particular, Duff will upgrade weapons. The game seems to emphasize the importance of this by playing cutscene animations for every upgrade. The same applies to the culinary arts. Whenever Bancho enhances his menu items or researches new dishes, animations will be played. It could be argued that upgrades to equipment is a normal part of game progression. I don't disagree, but in Dave the Diver, this is particularly emphasized in Bancho's story arc. Bancho is known for wanting to experiment with new dishes and try using different exotic ingredients. This is his strength and his defining characteristic as a chef. In the Bible, novelty is also something that is valued in the arts. Although churches are often known for singing century-old classic hymns for their powerful truths, the Bible also gives examples of creativity. In the Psalms, it says, "Shout for joy in the Lord, O you righteous. Praise befits the upright. Give thanks to the Lord with the lyre. Make melody to him with the harp of 10 strings. Sing to him a new song. Play skillfully on the strings with loud shouts. Psalm 33, verses 1 to 3. Dave the Diver does emphasize the importance of respecting certain traditional elements through the characters of many of the VIP chefs that Banjo duels. But at the same time, it also suggests that creativity and innovation is important. Like the game, the Bible emphasizes the importance of both tradition and innovation, pleasing God and man with something fresh and new. Another very prevalent theme of Dave the Diver is that of people-pleasing. This theme is almost exclusively developed in the protagonist Dave the Diver. Throughout the game, Dave aims to please everyone, doing tasks for Cobra, Banjo, Duff, Dr. Bacon, Ellie, Udo, and the Sea People. It's regularly implied that Dave knows he is being used, often offering a cursory protest before proceeding to do what is asked of him anyway. He is even willing to fulfill tasks for people who insult him. While the idea of doing quests and missions for NPCs is prevalent in many games, particularly RPGs, Dave the Diver acknowledges that this is not only unusual but also perhaps unhealthy and undesirable. Dave seems to be a low self-esteem individual that is regularly disrespected but proceeds to help people anyway. The Bible too discourages people-pleasing, particularly in relationship to pleasing God. For am I now seeking the approval of man or of God? Or am I trying to please man? If I were still trying to please man, I would not be a servant of Christ. On the flip side of this, however, Dave the Diver also hints that helping people and caring about their desires and preferences is good. For example, Banjo is a talented chef focused on his creativity and innovation, but in his backstory he is noted as too insistent upon his own culinary arts and not concerned enough about the client. Yoshi, their HR person, notes that Dave's influence on Banjo is a good thing because it has made him care more about people. The Bible too wants Christians to care about people. Even though the Bible discourages too much people-pleasing, especially when contrasted with pleasing God, at the same time, it also says this in 1 Corinthians, "So whether you eat or drink, or whatever you do, do all to the glory of God. Give no offense to Jews or to Greeks or to the church of God, just as I try to please everyone in everything I do, not seeking my own advantage, but that of many, that they may be saved." 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verses 31 to 33. In other words, the Apostle Paul discusses the idea of pleasing people for the sake of the gospel. He suggests that he is focused not only on his own needs, but that of others, particularly in evangelism and their spiritual salvation. Dave the Diver is a game that focuses on using its story to connect and integrate its gameplay in organic ways. Even so, the themes conveyed through the story raise interesting questions about hypocrisy, creativity and novelty, and people-pleasing. For a relaxed game about diving and sushi, Dave the Diver manages to tell a deep story that is not just about fish, but people's motivations, why some people do what they do. I really enjoyed Dave the Diver, and I hope that Mint Rocket will produce a sequel or a spiritual successor with an equally meaningful story in the future. That's all I have for you in this video. Bless you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If this video blessed you in some way, please consider watching some of my other videos, subscribing, or sharing with me some of your thoughts.